What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 87 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, while we're playing big topics of the industry and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read in the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is September 10th, 2021. I'm your host, Daniel Lima. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Louis Menchaca. How you doing, Louis?
You know, Dan, today is the first official day where COVID is over for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I'm working in the office. No more social distancing, even though I'm social distancing in the office. But, I'm actually back to normal. I hate it. That's why
Have you
I'm
ran...
dressed very spiffy right now. I literally got home from work.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. Have you ran into Steve Carell yet?
What are you talking about? Oh, Dan in real
Well, you
life?
just said you were back into the office.
Oh,
You
The
know,
Office, yeah. Well, I was thinking
that's a terrible
I was
joke.
thinking about a Steve Carell movie called Dan in Real Life. That's a real movie. I'm like, oh.
Oh man. All right. So did you have time? We have one major topic to talk about in the show today, which is basically kind of going to be a topic of the show on its own, I believe, which is that the PlayStation showcase just happened. So, typically we kind of smooth into things a little bit more, but in the lack of housekeeping or any major notes, like I just want to go straight ahead and ask you, did you watch it?
So the yes, I did watch it. I was able to be on my phone during my lunch break, and the
Mhm.
office building reception is kind of trash. So I was watching it at first at 1080p, that 1080p 60, and then like I kept buffering constantly, so I lowered it down to
Mhm.
2720p, and then it buffered again. And I'm like, okay, 480p, and then I was able to watch the whole thing on 480p smoothly with no buffering. So that's kind of sucks. I really don't like the fact that I had to watch it in my phone with like low quality. But I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, like I kind of sort of just held my phone a little far away, so that way I can sort of like not see like the pixel density could be all right and make up for it.
Mhm.
And I was able to just see and enjoy all the trailers and like some pretty glory looking colors and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty well versed in the announcements, and I actually was kind of impressed. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you work with what you have, right? Like, where we all have full time jobs here, so it could be difficult sometimes to catch up with the stuff. What I did is that I kind of planned my day so I could be done with everything I had to be done with around 6:30. So I didn't watch it live, and then I went ahead and I watched it. Then, like, I watched the full VOD of the stream as soon as I was done working. And then because when you watch those VODs, like I actually watched the official VOD from the PlayStation channel,
Yeah,
so I thought
same.
that would be a good quality, but it actually looked pretty bad.
It's 1080p.
And so I ended up like, yeah, it was 1080p, but like in my TV, it almost looked like it was lower than 1080p for some reason.
Oh.
So I ended up going and watching some of the trailers in actual full like 4K glory after I was done watching it, just like three or four of the main trailers, so that I could see them and actually gauge like how beautiful some of those games looked.
I
And I
mean,
definitely
the
recommend you do
trailers,
that
the
because I
trailer breakouts are always going to be that 4K breakouts and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, yeah, I should try.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think I want to watch like two trailers in 4K at some point.
All right, so let's hop right into it. So the biggest reveal from the PlayStation Showcase today was, well, there's a few that I think are competing for like biggest reveal, but we finally got a proper look at God of War Ragnarok. This game was originally announced as part of the PS5 showcase last year. At that point, we had basically gotten a logo, or not even really a logo. It was like an icon and the message of Ragnarok is coming. We didn't even know for sure what the name of the game was going to be. They had a 2021 release initially, then they pushed it to 2022. And now we got a more proper look at what the game looks like with the full title being confirmed as God of War Ragnarok.
The
We got to see
biggest kept
Atreus
secret in the
again.
games industry.
Oh yeah, I know, right? So let me give it straight to you. What did you think of God of War Ragnarok?
Oh man, I was just like enthralled with it. I loved it. I am just like foaming at the mouth, ready to play that game. Like this looks exactly what I wanted, and it's like, it's kind of interesting. It's always that thing where it's like, people always like try to like bash companies for like not taking risks or not like trying to do something more extra. Some people want to be like, do Nintendo things, just try something new every time and throw away what you did before and just do something brand new. No, fuck that. Give me what I want, and this is the Last of Us 2 that I wanted. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so I am very much of the opinion that this looks like an evolution, like as far as like enemy designs and like combat. It looks like story. Everything's looking top notch, and it's exactly what I want. And I don't really care if this is a PS4 game, then whatever. I don't care as long as it's a good game. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I thought the game looked really good. It especially looked really good when I watched the 4K trailer breakout, which I recommend you do later. Um, Lewis, I don't know if you have it the set up on the video, but you might want to bring up the IGN article that has a summary of everything that was announced, and maybe let the trailer play while we talk about it or
Ah,
something.
yes, I should totally
Um,
do that. I have the
but
video. I have the article pulled up, but I did not play the trailer. Yeah,
hmm
so
um,
I'll do that right
it
now.
it was pretty good. I mean, hopefully that doesn't make us get a copyright strike or something on YouTube, does it?
The movie podcast is harder on that. The video games industry tends to let things slide,
Cool,
but
cool, cool,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, when I finished that game back in 2018, I was very excited about where I was going to go next, and something that I always talked about with God of War 2018 that I don't think I heard really much of other people talk about it is how I thought it was so interesting that they exercised so much restraint, which with what they actually gave us. Like they gave us a really good game, but using very little from the immense lore that is Norse mythology. There was so much more that they could have pulled from, and they really like almost like grabbed like the small corner of it and really explore deeply like what that small corner could give. And the twist at the end of the game really establishes like okay, like the twist, and then I think there was like an after credit scene or like some final scene that showed another known Norse character coming into play. Really set up the second game, in my opinion, to be the one that I think is going to be much bigger and better. And maybe those expectations are too much to be put into the game, but I know that we're going to have the same level of polish of the gameplay experience, of the narrative experience of the game. But I'm excited to see them pull in so much more of the Norse mythology lore, like pull in more of those characters that we recognized and know from the Thor movies, and so much other media that we've seen explore this mythology, and really see like how far they could go. We got to see some glimpses of some new characters in the trailer, which was cool. We got to see Tyr the giant, and we also, which was I think was referenced in the first game a lot,
Hmm.
and we got to see a lot of returning characters as well, and then some new faces that I'm not sure exactly who they're supposed to be, and also Atreus. Is a little bit more grown up in this game as well,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to see his journey in this game, how it compares to the first one.
Yeah, I'm a little like 50-50 on that one. Like I kind of wanted like Atreus to stay like the little kid.
Hmm.
But I'm guessing if this is the same voice actor, he probably has gone through puberty, so it makes sense if
Hmm.
his voice is deeper. So you gotta like sort of do a time jump. The part of the reason why I didn't want a time jump is because like there's a scene playing right now in the trailer that harkens back to a scene that was in the like essentially like a post credit scene from the last game. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
I don't want to like I don't know how we feel about spoiling a 3-year-old game, but mind you, but
I would like to not spoil it because I think there are people that will have grabbed the PS5 and will want to play this game for the first time leading up to Ragnarok coming out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like there's a post credit scene that happened in the last game, and it
Hmm.
just sort of like leaves on a like a cliffhanger. And I was kind of hoping that this game would open with the conclusion of that cliffhanger. Instead, it feels like this game might actually just do a time jump and not even really say what happened or just sort of imply what happened, which is not. I mean, whatever. It is
If
what
you
it is.
remember with The Last of Us Part 2, they actually start right where Last of Us Part 1 left off, and then they do the jump later.
Yeah.
Like you play like a little bit of the game first, and then it does the time jump. So I could see them doing something similar. We'll see. I have a theory about this, where this franchise is going right now. I think that they're going through the process of um, really restarting the franchise, but I think it's not going to be about Kratos anymore. I think that really they're building up Atreus to be the new God of War. So I think we're going to get to see his full growth, probably throughout like 3 games throughout the trilogy. And I would expect that by the end of God of War 3 on this reboot, Kratos dies or something, and then Atreus becomes the God of War from that point on.
That I would
Um,
be a little upset by that, but I don't know. Like I don't know how I feel about that. I would say that I mean, I guess I wouldn't be like upset like I was with The Last of Us Part Two, if you get my drift.
mhm.
So like I guess I would accept it more. I'd be more willing to accept it, but at the same time, like I don't really see Atreus as a God of War esque type character. Not in the sense that he's like because I know what he is canonically in
Yeah.
Norse mythology, as far as the thing that they told us in the credits of the
Hmm.
last game. So he's a god of
Yeah.
something else. Let's just say.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that you bring up. I just think that I find it interesting that they keep hinting at this idea that Kratos is a lot more subdued now and he's more chill and cool. And there's even like an interchange in this trailer where he says something along the lines of like "war's not the way" or
Yeah,
"war isn't the only solution" or something, which is
yeah.
really funny to hear from Kratos, knowing his background. But then Atreus, on the other hand, he was already getting kind of moody like in the middle to the end of the last game, and then it looks like on this game they're going to push that further. So I can see him becoming more of the agent of chaos and destruction, while Kratos is just kind of like he's no longer into war, but maybe Atreus is going to be into war. So I'm very excited to see where this goes story wise. I'm very interested in the story of this game. And this is definitely one that I'm going to be playing, day one whenever it does eventually come out.
So let me
Um,
ask you this: prediction: is Atreus going to be playable in this game, like an Ellie and Last of Us One kind of situation
Yes, I believe so. I believe he will. I believe Kratos will be the main character that we play in this game, but I think we will be able to play as Atreus
for a
in at
chapter?
least one segment of the
Oh,
game. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. And this is all like conjecture, by the way. I'm just kind of theorizing, but I don't really know anything about it.
Didn't like
Now, there
Alana
was only
Pierce
one.
write this game, by the way? So I mean, I'm pretty sure she'll be creative and pull some shit off like that. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's part of the writing team. I don't know. I'm very curious, by the way, to which capacity she's writing on it. And I follow Alana Pierce content. I like her a lot as a content creator, and she intentionally does not talk about it at all. Like she doesn't. In all of her content, she won't even talk about Sony Santa Monica or anything related to her job because number one, she's not supposed to, but number two, she also comes across like she doesn't want to not risk like threading on territory
mm.
where she doesn't know what she can or cannot talk about. But I would be very curious to hear more about her, from her once this game actually comes out and maybe she is able to talk about it because I want to see like how deep into writing the story she is involved. Is she actually writing the story? Because you can be a writer in a game whose job is to write flavor text, right? Like is she having to write all the lore, like the extraneous lore that exists in the world? Is she having to write like weapon flavor text? Is she actually writing dialogue? Like what is she doing? I'm very
Mm.
curious about that, but we don't know yet.
Okay.
um yeah. On another note though, we got to see a lot more stuff, so let's talk about Insomniac Games for a second. um
Mind
we
blown.
we
I don't
we
even know.
got
Like,
two.
they're like, are they like big enough to be Naughty Dog level where they can be split into two teams? Is like that's a question right
They
there.
actually, I think it is a known fact that they do have 2 teams,
Oh shit.
and that's how they were able to release Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart so close to each other because they had one team working on Miles Morales while the other team was working on Rift Apart. They came out within like I think 6 months of each other, but this time we got an announcement for Spider-Man 2 and a Wolverine game, which that came out of nowhere. That one was just a teaser, a very small teaser, and I have a
We
feeling that
finally
that one is very far away, Lewis. I feel like I could see that game being a 2024 game,
Yeah.
especially considering that Spider-Man 2 got a release window of 2023.
Yes.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, obviously we have more to talk about on Spider-Man. I'm
Hmm.
pulling up the trailer. I'm playing it right now for the video people. That really gorgeous cinematic trailer of just the textures are on point, man. Like I can literally like see like the stitching on the Spider-Man costumes and stuff like that. It's like that. It's kind of got that like texture where like the Andrew Garfield texture and stuff. So yeah, I am. I'm a little bit like, how do I put this? I'm a little upset at how they revealed it with like the Spider-Man logo flashing on the screen. I
Hmm.
was kind of hoping that they would bait us a little bit as like, what is it, kind of stuff, instead of just
Hmm.
telling us right off the bat. Like, I wish they kind of sort of like played it off a little bit. But this combat sequence where like they're like sort of tag teaming together and they're both pulling someone and slamming them down is
Hmm.
cool. The reveal of Venom was cool. So yeah, I'm very much excited, and I'm excited to play Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales to catch up on this trilogy.
It's also interesting that they show. I mean, I would say they feature Peter Parker, Spider Man, and Miles Morales in the same level in the trailer. So that led me to wonder a lot of things about like, is this game going to be like, are you going to play half as Peter Parker, half as Miles Morales?
Mm.
Is it going to be a thing where maybe you can like switch between the two in some way? Like, I feel like there's something interesting there. I feel like they already released the Miles Morales game, so they could have made this trailer feature like be more of a Peter Parker feature trailer, and I don't think anybody would be upset, you know. So the fact that they really made a point to showcase both characters acting together, I think that means something to the game, but I don't know what that means. Like, could there be some level of co-op in this game in some way where you can have somebody playing as Miles and somebody playing as Peter Parker? And I say this as well because we know of two other superhero co-op games that are going to be coming out over the next few years in Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad, right? So there's some stuff going on there. So I'm very curious to see what that means.
Which one would
I
you
also think it,
which one do
go
you
ahead.
prefer, the Gotham Knights or like GTA 5 where you toggle between your heroes?
I feel like I do enjoy co-op games occasionally, but because Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, was a single player experience to me, I feel like I would rather it be more focused on the single player experience still, and I would want to see a situation where the story incorporates both Miles and Peter Parker in it, like honestly Spider-Man One did. Like I think on Spider-Man One, you get to play as Miles in a few missions,
Oh yeah,
so
I
I would be
forgot
okay
about
with
that.
that. Yeah, um, but
Well,
I don't know. I just
let
go
me
ahead.
go ahead and clarify something else here. Like, so the when it comes to what was I going to ask you here? Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Go. It's been a
It's
long
all
day,
good.
man. I've been working. I'm stressed.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. And it looks like Venom is going to be the big bad guy in this game. So how do you feel about that? It is one of the most iconic Spider-Man villains, right?
It's
The most iconic,
it's voiced by
probably.
Candyman himself, Tony Todd. So that's actually pretty cool. It looks dope. His design reminds me of like the Tom Hardy's Venom a little bit.
Hmm.
Like it looks like between a cross between that and like the Eddie Brock Venom
Yeah,
Spider-Man
I was
animated
thinking that
series,
too.
like the animated series Venom, where he's like just jacked and like big and like,
Hmm.
yeah, it kind of sort of reminds me of that, and I like it. It looks cool. It looks very faithful, and I'm interested to see if it's gonna be like a situation where like they're gonna do the thing where he's a black suit Spider-Man, like a symbiote kind of thing. Oh yeah, and
Hmm.
also actually, you know what? I do remember what I was gonna ask you now. I was gonna say like, you know how like the thing they did do in video game development where like in Metroid, like Samus loses her power and then she has to start back at level one and she has to
Mm.
upgrade her tree all over
Yeah.
again from the beginning. Do you think that they're gonna do a situation where they just sort of take the last two games in canon and assume that
You already
you
have all
maxed
the
out
powers.
your skill tree, and then you have to continue that skill tree onwards upwards from your last one,
Ah, that's a very good question. I
or if they're
actually
just gonna
don't know
depower you and you start over. You know.
because the way, I like every time I start a new game, I actually like to start with a minimal like amount of abilities and then unlock them throughout the game. Because when I start a game where you already have a lot of shit unlocked to begin with, I find it overwhelming to learn how to use everything. Like on Spider-Man, I was able to, by the end, I was able to get really good at using all the different abilities and stuff because I had the whole game where I was slowly like, oh, let me try this now, and then let me try to use it, and then oh, I found this enemy now that basically requires me the best way to beat it is by using this combination of attacks. So let me do that, and then you just kind of slowly learn it through the game. And I feel like if the game just basically assumes that you have everything and you know how to use it, that's going to make it for a more difficult experience when you start it. So I'd almost rather they do figure out a way where you just have to unlock everything again.
That's a little
Maybe you start
frustrating.
with a few more things,
Yeah,
but yeah.
that's a little frustrating. Like not to say like how do I put this? It's frustrating in the sense like from a lore perspective. Is like why is Spider-Man like starting over and learning his skills that he learned already in the previous game? So it should be like a one continuous kind of arc. So like I would say
Hmm.
add more skills on top of the skills he already mastered on the last game.
Hmm.
But from a gameplay perspective, you are correct. You wanna slowly trickle out things to like so that people aren't inundated with too much choice or too much confusion. Don't unlock every single combination of like attacks and special attacks and stuff like that. Just work with the
Hmm.
small tool set and then build that tool set slowly. That is the correct way to make a game, but it's not the correct way of establishing your lore. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good point. Good point. Now for the Wolverine game, oh, also the Spider-Man 2, we might have already said that, but they gave it the release window of 2023. I actually find that to be farther than I would have expected. I thought that they had a team working on Miles Morales, but I assumed that while working on Miles Morales, they were already still working or getting Spider-Man 2 off the ground. So I expected that 2 years after Miles Morales was how long we would have to wait. With Miles coming out in 2020, we had Spider-Man in 2018, Miles in 2020. I really expected this game to be ready for fall next year, but I guess it could even be a choice of having God of War for fall of next year, that therefore pushing Spider-Man to spring 2023 or something along those lines. So, um, yeah, interesting there. And then that pushes the Wolverine game in my head all the way to 2024, probably. It comes across like there's not a lot that's done for this game yet. They might have just gotten the license, honestly, and made that teaser trailer. But it's exciting because we know Insomniac has the repertoire, they have the talent to make a good quality game. And honestly, Wolverine is a great character to work with. There's a lot that you can do as far as gameplay goes with Wolverine. You can have a lot of fun with it. I want to see if this game is going to end up being M rated because that's what I want to see. Like, because there was an X Men Origins Wolverine game for the PS3 that was M rated, and it was actually a good game. So that's where my expectations are at right now.
Yeah, I agree. And just in general, like I mean, like how far along can you be in a game whenever like you just launched two games back to back? You had November of last year, you launched a game, and then June of this year, you launched another game. Like I mean, how far along could you really be into the next Spider-Man game? I'm assuming that the Miles Morales team is the same one working on the Spider-Man 2,
Mhm.
Marvel Spider-Man 2. They should just call it Spider-Man 3, but whatever. Um, and then as far as this game, I'm pretty sure this game is basically in pre-production because I'm gonna assume that the Ratchet and Clank team is the one that's gonna be pulling this one off. But yeah, we
Mhm.
really don't have a whole lot to work off. This guy's arm is just freaking thick as hell. His forearm is just like the size of a quad. Like just okay. But
Yep.
anyways, as far as like we didn't even get to see his face or nothing. So, ah man, that sucks. But yeah, I just played the teaser again, and yeah, there's again not a whole lot to go off. There's almost nothing to go off of. I mean, it really is just an announcement. They might as well have just done the thing where they just play the logo or something, and that's about it, like Metroid Prime 4 style.
Now, perhaps the next big announcement that we should talk about is the fact that there's a Knights of the Old Republic remake being done right now, Star Wars KOTOR, as it's often called.
Yeah.
This will be the first time that the game will be available on PlayStation platforms, I believe, and it will be exclusively. It is being developed by a company called Aspire. I recognize the name, but I can't remember what they worked on before. I think this is something that had leaked to some extent a few months ago. I remember us covering in the show, perhaps as an extra news or something. And this will be a PS5 only game, is what it seems. And we didn't really get to see gameplay or anything. It was also just a cinematic teaser. I don't remember if we got a year for this one, but I'm assuming it's a little far out as well. Uh, big win for Sony. What do you think of this?
I'm surprised because I
Yeah.
thought Knights of the Old Republic was on Xbox, like the original OG Xbox.
Yes.
So it's really interesting that like it became an Xbox first, like franchise to now a PlayStation franchise. So, but if Sony is the one bankrolling it, then fine. It is what it is. But yeah, I know KOTOR is like one of those like monumental like seminal games that people like talk about, and people still play. I think even to this day, even on PC, I want to say. So it's definitely got its fans, and it's got a lot to live up to. I think I've like dabbled with it one time before, like just like playing it for like a few minutes, but I never actually played the game. Um, I wonder if this is a situation where they're gonna do KOTOR 2, if this game is successful. Like I wonder if that's the plan.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm very surprised to see Sony get this one over Xbox because I feel like Microsoft must have been. You
Privy,
would expect that Microsoft must have tried, right? Like
or at least
to
privy to some kind of licensing deal or some kind of discussion.
yeah, yeah. So that was a little bit of an odd one, but congrats Sony on getting that one. I'm sure that is the kind of game that when it does eventually come out, it will lead people to buy the console for it because it is one of those games that, as far as I understand, has not really stood the test of time as well. Like it doesn't hold up as well. However, it does in people's minds. It is often remembered as a top tier, S tier video game out there, in a lot of people's like top lists of all time, and etc. Um, it was a what do you call it? Like a pioneer game in a lot of different factors in these like Western RPGs with where your choices affect the outcome of the game and etc. It's really there wouldn't be Mass Effect without KOTOR, right? So
Fair enough.
very cool that that game is coming back, and that I'm gonna have an opportunity to play it with modernized gameplay and graphics. Excited to see more of it. Um,
I wonder
now,
if they're gonna do that thing where they're gonna be like, or they're gonna announce that it's canon to the Star Wars. Because like remember that thing where like when
oh yeah,
Disney bought out Star Wars, they said, all right, everything that was before is legends, but anything we make going forward is canon, and now they're gonna recanonize KOTOR.
just realized out of 4 games that we've talked about so far, 3 of them Disney. Star Wars, Wolverine, Spider-Man, right?
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's
Disney owns
crazy.
everything. So I'm
Um,
surprisingly just want to say, just throw this out there, a Japanese company can pull this off over an American company, like Microsoft. They're like,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
just throwing that out there.
Now, talking about remakes of old classics and also first on PlayStation, another game that we should talk about is Alan Wake. So Alan Wake Remastered is coming out soon on October 5th, so in less than a month from now. And we actually, this game, news of this game came out through the week. I actually had originally a story for us to read here that was about, Alan Wake Remastered being actually announced and etc. And then it turns out that they actually showed it in the conference, so I thought we could just cover it as part of this. Once again, this is also a game that is commonly associated with Xbox. It is also, I believe, a game that has not been available on a PlayStation platform before. It is now being remastered by Remedy Entertainment with Epic Games Publishing. However, this one is multi-platform. This game will be available on other platforms as well. It will be on Xbox. It will be on PC. And once again, a game that I have not played but have heard really good things about. And that I'm excited to have an opportunity to play it with new graphics. Unfortunately, with it coming out so soon in October, and I already have other things that I know I'm going to be playing then. I don't know if I'm really going to have time to play it now, but it's definitely going into the list.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I got Alan Wake as like a pre-order bonus or something like that. I forgot what it was, but
Hmm.
wait, did I get it? No, I didn't. They didn't do that thing. I was trying to think. I was thinking about what's that? Quantum Break. Yeah, isn't that? But I don't think it was a pre-order bonus. I think they just gave it
Yeah,
away as a.
Quantum Break is Remedy as well as Control and
I
Alan
think
Wake. They're all the same
I
studio.
think they just gave it away for games with gold. That's why I have it. I think that's what it
Hmm.
was. But no, I have it on Xbox One, and so that's my Series X. And I wonder if they're gonna like give us a free upgrade, or I have to buy it again, like for the Xbox Series X. That would suck. But either way, it doesn't matter. If I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna play the Xbox One version. I've been meaning to play this game. I've heard a lot about this game and how good it is. And this trailer, although looks cool and graphics and all and stuff like that, but there's something about that. Some of these shots that I saw in the trailer that sort of like makes it look like, ooh, this is just an Xbox 360 game just polished. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
So
a good point. This is not a remake. This is a remastered, and in some ways, it does make me wonder, like, how different is this from just playing the game on Xbox Series X with the already existing enhancements
yeah,
that the Series X applies to the games that it runs and stuff. So yeah, it looks like it's just like, hey, like, this game's pretty old, so we're just gonna upres it a little bit and add some flair, but it's not gonna be a full remaster, like full remake
yeah,
treatment, or even like one of the top tier remasters. It looks like.
yeah.
I agree with you there. Now, one of the standouts for me actually was this game called Forspoken.
Yes.
This is a Square Enix published game developed by Luminous Productions. I was not familiar with this developer, so I'm not sure what they did before. Um, but we had seen this game before in some form, in some conference. I don't remember like if it was like a teaser or what. I just remember that we knew the name. I think this might have been in the PlayStation conference of last year. And this time I actually got to see a good look at the gameplay. This is an action adventure game in a fantasy setting. It seems to have a lot of like parkour elements to it. There's very kinetic, fast movement. It almost has the sort of like Prince of Persia feel to it. This feels like a modern day Prince of Persia. And this actually looked really exciting to me. It's coming out relatively soon, spring 2022, even though we don't have a clear date yet. And this actually ended up being one of the things, since we had a lot of like teasers for things that are so far away that I know we're going to see like 10 more times before they actually come out. As far as the things that we actually saw gameplay for, this was one of the ones that I was the most excited about walking out of the conference.
Yes, I don't know about most excited, but I will say I was most intrigued. I was like, if anything, this trailer kind of sort of made me, got another sale, just for
Yeah.
me. So I will say this: I am very interested in the game. It looks entertaining. It looks fun. It looks like it's got a lot going for it. It's got like a lot of mixtures of going on with like little fantasy elements, some actiony like Tomb Raider elements, some kind of open worldy Assassin's Creedy elements going on. There's just a lot going on, especially with like, you know how like Mario in his games in his RPG games he has like one of those like those talking items or talking objects like a paint can that talks to
Hmm.
him and guides him. She's got the little wrist bracelets that sort of just talks to her and she's like, hey, like listen.
Yeah,
So
which by the way, that voice seems familiar to me. So I was trying to look up like if I could find out who was voicing the rings on her arm, but I wasn't able to find it. But in the process of doing that, I found out that this game was actually written by Gary Whitta.
oh
Gary Whitta being the writer of the Star Wars movie Rogue One,
yeah.
as well as just an internet personality, collaborator of a variety of different podcasts and stuff. Like host of Animal Talking, the Animal Crossing talk show, and etc. Just a person I follow on Twitter that I'm sure Lewis does too. So yeah, he's involved with this game apparently.
Nice. I mean, hey, more power to him. And this, yeah, like I said, this game looks interesting and it looks fun. I am seems this seems like right up my alley, and I'm very interested. I forgot what this game was called because this was previously announced or revealed at a conference, and I can't remember which one it was either. But before it was revealed at that conference, this game had a project. It was like Project something or whatever, and we finally learned the actual official title for Forspoken. And I will say this: I think the code name was better than the actual title, but who
Yeah,
cares?
I don't really like the name either. I find it a little weird. Um, well, we also got to take a look at a new Uncharted release. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. They're getting remastered for PS5 and PC. On what's called, I believe, the Thieves Collection. The IGN article does not have the full name here, but I thought this was a weird one, and that's because we did get a leak a while ago that Uncharted was apparently coming to PC, and we already kind of expected that. Um, but I find it weird that we're gonna see Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy coming to PS5 and coming to PC in a collection, but this collection does not include the three original Uncharted games that have already been remastered for the PS4 that are included in the Nathan Drake collection.
Yes.
So now, Uncharted 4 is the end of the Nathan Drake story, but that's not included in the Nathan Drake collection. And it just feels weird to have the story that is split in four acts and three of them are included in one collection, and one of them is included in this other collection with this spin-off game. So that seemed a little odd to me.
Yeah, like what's kind of interesting is like when I'm looking at this gameplay, and again I'm looking at 1080p gameplay on this monitor, and that I'm showing to you guys. Uh, this you can tell it's 4K as far as like the source is just sort of downscaled, but like what's really interesting is like this game looks exactly how my memory remembers it. So just throwing
Mhm.
that out there. Legacy of
Yeah.
Thieves collection, by the way,
Uh,
that's what they call it. That's an interesting title.
what's the title?
It's called Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection.
Interesting. Okay. And now I'm just gonna rattle off some of the other announcements. I'm actually going through my phone while doing this because I took notes of everything as I was watching it. So the games that we have not talked about were Project Eve, which was this Japanese action game that was showed in the beginning of the conference. Tiny Tina Wonderlands, which is the new Borderlands spin-off that we saw plenty of times during Summer of Gaming, and now it got a release date of March 25th, 2022. We got to see Rainbow Six Extraction again. We got to see GTA 5 again. That one got a release of March 2022. We got to take a look at Ghostwire Tokyo, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, which had a 2021 year at the end, even though it doesn't seem to have a release date yet, even though we only have like 3.5 more months in the year. We got to see Deathloop again, which I feel like we've seen that
Coming out
plenty of
next week.
times. Yeah, a little indie game named Chia. And I think, oh, and also we got to take a further look at Gran Turismo 7.
Hmm.
So, any of those you want to talk about,
I
Lewis?
pulled up Project Eve, the trailer here, and I'm playing it right now. I'm not gonna lie, like this looks like a Bayonetta copycat at times with
Yep.
her like tight ass clothes and like her booty just showing up on screen. Like it just she might as well they might as well just called her Slayonetta, you know?
Mhm.
She's got like she's fighting these demon monsters with like these little creepy ass eyes and stuff, and it's just sort of like got this actiony like her hairstyle, her long ass hair like reminds me of Bayonetta one. Like it just looks like a Bayonetta clone, but that's not to say it's insulting either. I don't say that insulting, but like it looks like something I've seen before, but it looks interesting. It looks like very stylistic and very actiony. It just sucks that they had to use like Japanese language and stuff. There's no translation for this. There's no
Mhm.
localization yet. On display, so it sucks that there's that. Maybe it's on purpose. Maybe the game will only launch with just a Japanese language track. I don't know, but it does look like an action game with combat and basically if PlayStation and Xbox can't get a Bayonetta 3 because it's a Nintendo exclusive, then they'll just make their own Bayonetta.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought Ghostwire Tokyo looked pretty interesting. That is a game that I've kind of kept on my radar slightly as we've heard about it for multiple events now. I feel like multiple years. And I think this was the first time that we really got to see the game. We've had a lot of like very small like teasers and stuff. And it looks creepy. It looks interesting. There's something happening in Tokyo that is leading these people to, disappear and weird shit to happen. And it's very like supernatural, very spooky, and it just looks like something that's interesting. So I'm curious about that one. Um, and then there was a weird announcement too that I'm pulling up here because it's at the very end of the IGN article. Radiohead and Epic Games tease mysterious collaboration, Kid Amnesia Exhibition. Kid Amnesia Exhibition is a new game slash experience from both Radiohead and Epic Games. Fans won't have long to wait as it will be released on PS5 in November 2021. So that felt like it was almost like something that just like very quickly took like 30 seconds off the show in the middle of it, and it was not really clear what it was.
Yeah,
So do you have any theories of what this could mean?
I mean, it just sounds like one of those kind of like one of those things like where like somebody always say, "Oh, in collaboration with this person, it's just a music experience kind of app kind of thing." That's what I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking about. Like, it doesn't seem very like interesting, especially with the fact that it's coming in what November I think they said. So, uh, surprisingly, if you have like something to show, you probably would. This would be the time to show it. With it's 2 months out from launch, 2 months from launching. But otherwise, I don't know. Maybe this is not the place to be showing off a music app or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like the thing that people will most forget about
Yeah.
after unless they're a big Radiohead fan or something. Maybe that's the intention. Okay, Lewis, we've kind of gone through everything. What are your final thoughts on this event?
Chia
Um,
looks like something like that could have came out on the Nintendo Switch. Just gotta
oh
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, there's something about it that looks like very Nintendo-esque as far as its design. It reminds me a bit of Wind Waker with the soundtrack, and especially with the little
100% the art
green,
style as well,
the
and
green like leaf thing that she flies
mhm.
on, like and glides on. Like that's literally Wind Waker right there. So the Mario Cappy, let me just take over
Mhm.
your body. It's literally a fucking Nintendo game. Like, but I'm liking it. I got my eye on it. I'm gonna keep on it. Like, it's not like I'm not gonna call it like the breakout success, of like
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Like, but like it's kind of like people are gonna sleep on it, and I think it is. But yeah, I like it. It's a Lewis game, I would say. Let's go with that.
Mhm. Cool, cool, cool. What did you think of the event as a whole?
This event actually kept my attention the whole way through. Like, even when there was an
Hmm.
announcement that wasn't for me, like a Rainbow Six or whatever, like I was still kind of I was glued to my phone the whole time. I wish I could have watched it on my TV and been glued to my TV and just really been about that life. But overall, like what's actually got to say is the fact that it was on my phone and under like less than ideal conditions. The fact that it can woo me it speaks volumes to the quality of what was on display here. Like, this was the E3 that we needed. But like, if the fact that Sony wanted to play their cards closer to the chest, or like delay their announcements to like the fall so they have more to show and more to like
Yeah,
to to blow out, then fine. I'm a fan of like just like spiking the ball and dropping the mic. So
yeah. I thought this was a pretty solid event. I thought it was pretty good. The pacing was good. The amount of games was good. A lot of times I often have complaints about these things. Either they showed too much or they showed too little, or they didn't they didn't balance the time right. But it's hard to have complaints about this one because although there are a few things that I'm not sure needed to be there, I may feel that way, but I know they're there for somebody else, like Tiny Tina Wonderland. It's like I didn't care to see that again. Deathloop, I didn't care to see that again because we've seen that on like a million showcases by this point. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, we got a pretty in-depth look during E3, so I didn't really need to see it again. But that's me. I know there are people out there that may have not seen those games or just want to see them again. So I know they're there for other people. It didn't feel like anything overstayed its welcome though, and it felt like I think I counted 17 games, and I think 17 games, 42 minutes. Each game was on screen for like 2 to 3 minutes at a time. And I thought that was actually a pretty good balance. Like if it was sometimes they show like 30 games in these things, and I walk out being like, oh my god, it was so much, and there's like 12 in there that I can't even remember anymore. For this one, I felt like each game almost felt like unique enough and different from the others
it stood out.
actually
Yeah.
make like stand out and make you remember. Like Chia, which you were just giving a shout to, like that game really stood out, right? Like versus everything else. But sometimes it was almost like the only or one of the only indie games that were featured in the presentation, and that helped it. If it was included in one of these other presentations where we get to see 50 indie games, or it's one of those things where they're doing I
A
forgot what
sizzle
they're
reel.
called, the montage or
Yeah.
sizzle reel, yeah, with like a bunch of different ones, then we wouldn't even be talking about it right now. But because they kind of spotlighted it and gave it the same like level of attention as God of War and Spider-Man, it's like it makes it stand out a little bit more when you don't have 50 things spread across 3 hours of show.
Yeah.
So I thought all around this was pretty good. And I do wish we got this during E3 because I think it would have been cool to get the Microsoft conference that we got, the Nintendo conference that we got, and then get this from Sony. Because I feel like all together they would have all kind of almost like helped elevate each other.
Yeah, true. Was Sony? Do you think their Sony strategy was better to like own the PR cycle to itself at this point, or does it matter?
Um, it depends. Like at the end of the day, like it's probably better for the numbers, right? Like they're probably gonna get a lot more hits on those trailers and everything else than they maybe would have if they were competing with everybody else's
Time and
like
attention.
everybody else's attention spans were competing during E3, right? But at the same time, like E3 is a time of excitement, right? And I feel like when you can be there in the time of excitement, there's something there too. So I don't know. I feel like in the numbers, this is probably better. They're probably doing this because they have statistics that show that this is better for them. I'm still stuck in my old ways and wish that we got all this together.
And one last question before we move on.
Hmm.
I am not a fan of like that fake PR speak where those interview questions. Like, let me ask you some. It's so like it's like the interview that they do at the very end. Like, I'm not a fan of first party interviews where it's like the people
Hmm.
internally and like it almost feels it reads very propaganda ish to me when you're like teeing up very softball questions or you even know what you're about to ask or
Are
sometimes
you
it felt
talking about like
scripted.
the Nintendo Treehouse thing? Because I didn't see anything. I only watched the 40-minute showcase. I don't know if they did anything after it this time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. If you watch like the VOD, like
Hmm.
the official PlayStation VOD, at the end of the showcase, they then go into like like some Cory Barlog interviews and like all these other interviews with these
Mm.
studios with Insomniac and all that stuff, and it's being conducted by a PlayStation employee. I forgot their name, but you know, whatever. It's not like Greg was in there like interviewing them. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But it was
Yeah.
corporate
Yeah.
sponsored event basically.
I guess it's like similar to Nintendo Treehouse in a way when you think about it that way. I think that stuff is there for the people that finish the conference and then want more, right? Like so there's a big audience for the PlayStation showcase and then there's a much smaller audience that are the people that actually after watching the PlayStation showcase they now want to sit down and dive deep into like as much information as they can from those games. So at the end of the day, it is merely a theater for advertisement, but so is the conference itself, right? Like
Yeah.
we engage in these things, but they're all just big like ads.
Yeah, and the worst part was is like they're not giving us anything. They're not asking questions that we want to know. They're
Yeah.
asking questions like, "Tell me about the story." Like that kind of like, but like it's
Yeah.
like that story that you already told you in the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, like everything that we can. That's why, like, I don't care to watch those things. Was like everything that we can really be given, we've already been giving at that point. So usually, there's not a lot of major stuff that comes out from these like post,
Post
conference.
shows, yeah.
Yeah, post shows. Yeah. So yeah, well, I thought this was pretty good, pretty exciting stuff.
Holy
Lots of
crap!
stuff.
We've been on this
Go
for
ahead.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Lots of stuff still pretty far away, so we're going to be seeing it again many times before they do come out. But very exciting nonetheless. We finally know what Sony's really working on and what all the different studios are working on. So staying on the Sony subject, but moving on to another story now. This comes from GameSpot, and it's kind of like the final story of multiple different things that came out since we did the podcast last week. Horizon Forbidden West free upgrade means you shouldn't buy the standard PS5 version. Last week, Sony officially opened up pre orders for Horizon Forbidden West ahead of the game's release on PS4 and PS5 in February next year. Curiously, it was bound to be the first exclusive from Sony without a PS4 to PS5 upgrade path, forcing you to purchase the $80 deluxe edition if you needed both. Sony has since reversed that decision, which has inadvertently made the PS5 version of the game a less sensible purchase, especially if you're buying digitally. Right now, the PS4 version of Horizon Forbidden West retails for $60, while the PS5 version is listed for $70. This isn't too surprising. All of Sony's exclusives outside of launch titles across gen have followed this pattern, including Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut most recently. Unlike those, however, the PS4 to PS5 upgrade for the PS4 version is going to be free following Sony's announcement over the weekend, making the $10 premium for the base PS5 version a costly option for what it gets you. So I don't want to get more into this. The really story here is that they U-turned on the decision of releasing that game the way they were doing it. They decided to give people free upgrades from the PS4 to the PS5 version. However, this is not included in the story, but as a follow-up update, they've also since announced that this is not going to happen again. This is like a one and done. They're giving you a free upgrade this time, but enjoy it because it's the last free upgrade you get. There was I can look for the exact quote, but Jim Ryan had a pretty similar quote to that. But before we get into that, Lewis, what do you think about their change of mind in this particular decision?
I mean, it just goes to show, like, when the internet outrage machine like is at play here, people companies will sort of reverse course. Microsoft did it with the whole Xbox Gold going to $120. I think PlayStation reversed course on something. I can't remember what it was. Like, I'm like,
The closing of
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
PSN
the
for
PS. That's what it
PS
was.
Vita and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what it was. And so, like, basically, we know that when people like bitch and complain, that if there's a big enough outcry, if it starts making big news and stuff outside of the gaming sphere, like in, like, like if USA Today is reporting on something, like, that's kind of like a big deal kind of thing. It's sort of hitting the mainstream kind of thing. So I would say that there's since there's precedent for it, and we've sort of won the battle, but we're not going to win the war, based off of what you just told me. It just kind of, just sort of pat ourselves in the back here and just sort of like enjoy this W. It sucks that it's not going to last. And I almost kind of like, I want to say, like, it should be like a standard going forward, like the whole upgrade cycle. It should be a no brainer. I mean, if Xbox is so consumer friendly with like smart delivery, Sony needs to, step up to the plate. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even if they don't want to go as far as to do something like smart delivery, they at least need to have it be consistent, because so far one of the main problems has been that it's been different for every game. I did look for this and I didn't find an exact quote, but I found this from an article from Game Rant. PlayStation President Jim Ryan has confirmed that all first party cross gen PlayStation games moving forward will require a $10 fee to upgrade from PS4 to PS5. Ryan specifically called out the new God of War game and Gran Turismo 7 as specific examples of titles that will not offer the free upgrade path for PS4 users who have yet to get their hands on a PS5. Um, so yeah, I think that what's going on is
Well, at
that
least
they've
it's the
been a
same
little all over the
price.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been a little all over the place. They had the situation with Horizon. There was backlash. They responded to the backlash, but moving forward, they're gonna have a consistent, like, a more consistent way to do things, which is that the PS4 version is $60, PS5 is 70. You pay $10 to upgrade. That's it. You
Yeah,
know?
so like it's like the same price. You come out the same. So if you buy it on the PS4 and then you pay $10, that's 70. You're getting the PS5 version. Therefore, you're just paying the difference. That is not ideal, but at least it's. I'll put quotes on that. Fair.
Yeah.
Uh, I wouldn't be happy with it, but whatever. It's their business. It's like if I buy God of War on the PlayStation 5 store, $70. I'm not gonna jigger the system to pay $60, because that's really what's gonna be at play here. I'm not, under no circumstances am I gonna go to my, if I'm gonna buy Horizon digitally, let's just say, I am not gonna go to my PS5 and turn on the PS5 and buy Horizon on the PS5. I'm gonna turn on my PS4, buy Horizon on the PS4, and then go to my PS5, go to my purchases, and then download the PS5
Yeah.
version. That's literally all that's gonna do. Like, that's it's not that hard for me, and that's an easy way to save $10. So
Hmm.
I don't know. They might as well have just slashed the PS5's the PS5 store version. They might as well just slash it to $60, straight up.
Yeah. I feel like one of the major differences between Xbox and PlayStation at this point is that it comes across like, for PlayStation, you still have different like official like SKUs of the game, like almost like different prints of the game for
Yeah,
PS4 and PS5 versus Xbox games at this point are just Xbox games. Like out the games that have come out over the last year, like if you look at their cases even just say like Xbox. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So the idea is like this is just an Xbox game. It will run better. Like the best hardware you put it on, it would just run better and download updates or whatever.
So yeah,
Um,
I believe Baron was the one that said it earlier this week on the Double XP podcast, where he said that the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, those are two separate digital stores, while the Xbox is just one store. It's
yeah.
just between Xbox One and Series X, you're accessing the exact same store. Therefore, you're accessing the exact same SKUs. It was what you said.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm gonna go outside the order here a little bit, Lewis. Let's go to the next PlayStation story, which is from VGC. And this is in response to a story that we covered last week. But there's some new turns here.
oh
So let's see what you're gonna have to say about this. New tests suggest the revised PS5 model actually runs cooler. A YouTube analysis had previously criticized the new model for shrinking its heatsink. This was reported by Andy Robinson at VGC. A new analysis of Sony's updated PlayStation 5 model has suggested that some of its components could actually run cooler than in the original hardware. Last month, YouTuber Austin Evans was among the first influencers to obtain the new PS5, which quietly went on sale in several regions in August, and criticized the revised hardware's significantly reduced heatsink, which he suggested was causing the console to run hotter. However, a more in-depth analysis by YouTube channel Hardware Busters has shared more positive results from its own temperature tests. Unlike Evan's results, which were taken by measuring the temperature of the new PS5's exhaust fans, Hardware Busters has measured the temperature of the console's internal components and concluded that despite having a smaller heatsink, the console CPU actually runs cooler in the new model. In its tests, Hardware Busters found that the new PS5 CPU operated at a significant 11 degrees Celsius cooler than the launch model at 40.08 Celsius versus 51.15 Celsius. However, the new PS5's memory was deemed to be running hotter at 48.2 Celsius versus 40.8 Celsius. It's worth noting that because the YouTube channel only tested one new PS5 console, manufacturing variance could be a factor in its results, and Hardware Busters suggests this likely contributed to the vast difference in its CPU temperatures. Open quote, they have exactly the same fans. Power consumption is about the same. Fan speed is also the same. The only difference is in the heatsink, it said, of the new and old PS5 models. I'm going to leave it here. Just some new data coming out there. I felt like it was important to bring this up since we covered this last week. Just kind of an update on it. What do you think, Lewis?
I am confused because, like, we know that was Austin had confirmed that the he has like a little measuring thing that you could like plug it into to see how much wattage you're drawing. We know that they're drawing the same wattage, so we know that they're the same CPU. There is no more efficient CPU on the newer model. It's the same CPU. So the CPU is working the exact same way. You're computing the same amount, you're processing the same amount, you're drawing the same amount of power. When you're doing that, if you're doing that, you're going to be producing the same amount of heat as far from a CPU standpoint. But if you're producing the same amount of heat, but you have a less of a heat sink, like smaller, less copper, less of a heat sink,
Mhm.
you would think that more heat would be building up. You know what I mean? Like that's my logical conclusion to that. So the fact that the CPU is running, cooler, or yeah, was it the CPU? Was it said in this?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said the memory was hotter, but the CPU was cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's interesting. I never heard of this, by the way. Like this is my first time seeing this. So,
Mhm.
I have seen, other than this particular YouTuber, I have seen many YouTubers replying to Austin Evans like since the podcast last week, and there was people were I've seen the YouTube video where he was breaking down like Austin's methods and saying that like you can't conclude if a CPU is hotter by running the temperature of the exhaust. The exhaust is going to be a completely different situation than the memory or the CPU because having more heat come out of the exhaust could just basically mean that the CPU could be cooler because the fan is pushing out the hottest air better, more efficiently, or something like that. There's a possibility that that could be what Austin was seeing. So yeah, beats me. I am not an engineer and of no kind. I just know a lot of stuff that's been told by many different experts. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure there might be more stuff coming out about this in the future with more tests and etc. to really find the truth. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter either way because the difference is not that significant one way or the other. To the point where it's not like it doesn't come across like it's like the new PS5 is gonna crash and burn anytime soon. Anyway, it's more of long term longevity that we're talking about.
Yes.
Now, Lewis, let's talk about Nintendo for a little bit. Let's talk about something you like.
I brought these next two stories to the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Louis sent me this video. This was posted on YouTube by King Bob Gaming. It's now sitting at over 200,000 views, and it is a review trailer for Waluigi in Smash Brothers. Fan favorite, fan requested character Waluigi is being added to Smash Brothers, except that it's not Smash Brothers Ultimate. It is Project M. which is the mod for Smash Brothers Brawl,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Yes.
And Louis is a big fan of it, and Louis got this trailer and he sent it to me. I was so happy you did because this was so much fun to watch. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Like you can tell it's not official Nintendo because it's just like it's
But
like a tier below when it comes to like the animation budget, but still it is really good. It is
yeah.
like it is up there. This is like one of the best fan made like in quotes fan made trailers that I've seen. Like the character is actually being added to the mod, so it's not like this is not real or something, but from the perspective that is a trailer not made by Nintendo, it is one of the best things I've seen
It
in
is
that
like
category.
I was like shedding a tear a little bit because I felt so bad for Waluigi. And this trailer just has pathos on spades, and just seeing this, like I'm playing the trailer right now as you speak, by the way, and just Waluigi is like, Wario's feeling guilty that he was invited to brawl, and Waluigi's like, it's okay, man, and he's like he's putting his chin up for him so he can be happy for him for once, and then when Wario just takes off and leaves him in the dust, and then you see that him being sad, and then you can see him in an Ultimate where he's like, everybody's here except for you, bitch, like it is so good, like, oh, I want Nintendo to add Waluigi, and I want them to just make this a canon trailer, like a real effing trailer.
I know.
I will say about the character models and stuff like that. Like you're about the like you can tell like when it comes to official like first party Nintendo assets, you can tell like the textures are just a little off, but damn, they're so
Yeah,
close.
it almost looks like stop motion movies. Like it
Yeah,
almost has this like clay look
yeah,
to the characters, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but as far as playing Waluigi, like I have played Waluigi before. Like he's in Super Smash Flash 2. He's in other Project M mods, by the way. There's like I forgot the name of all the projects. There's like Project Remix or whatever, but like there's many a different there's Project M, and then there's mods of Project M that just sort of like branch out, like kind of like like Loki. I don't know, you never watched Loki, but like a multiverse where like it's like it just sort of splits splinters off, and you have more timelines. There's like at least
Hmm.
5 mods that I can think of in Project M, and Waluigi's playable in at least two of them. So I have
Hmm.
played Waluigi before, and he's cool. He's fun to play, and this is a sort of like a tweaking of that moveset that I'm familiar with. He's got like the tennis racket. He's got like a piranha plant. He's got like sports stuff, and yeah. So
Yeah,
he's got
it's
Mario
very
Party
it seems to be
dice.
very yeah, it seems to be very inspired on the tennis side, which I think is because Waluigi's first game was Mario Tennis, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
Waluigi tends to be in spin-off games, so a lot of his move sets, like the dice from Mario Party, like they tend to come from like the Mario sub franchises to help sort of give
Hmm.
you like that what do you call it, that representation or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to bring it up here because like it really like just brought a tear to my eye, and I was so joyed to see this, and I really do want to this trailer to be officially like Nintendo made.
Yeah, I know. I know. That would have been really cool. And yeah, so go and check it out. That was pretty nice trailer. I really enjoyed. I really appreciated that he sent me that too, and I also felt like we had to cover it.
It's an official
And our
check this out
final
without the sound effect though.
yes, and our final story slash topic of the day here is something that I had heard about a little bit. I also follow some of the game collecting YouTubers that I know Lewis follows as well. And I had heard about this, but I didn't quite understand it too much. But Lewis brought in, like he sent me a video about it. I didn't really get to watch that video, but I found an article so that we could read it in the show. It's a little bit of old news from last week, but there's still time to cover it. So here we go. This is from VGC. Report alleges auction and grading fraud is behind recent surge in retro game prices. Reported by Chris Scullion. Um, a new report alleges fraud in the grading and auction process, which has seen a recent surge in retro game auction prices, most notably leading to a copy of Super Mario Bros. Selling for $2 million this month. We covered that in the past.
Yes.
Journalist Coral Jobs alleges in a 52-minute video investigation that grading company Wada Games and collectibles auction company Heritage Auctions have been complicit in artificially inflating the value of the retro video game market for their own gain. Jobst alleges that Wada president and CEO Dennis Khan has been working with Heritage Auctions co-founder Jim Halpert. That almost sounds like the character from The Office. Is named Jim Halpert. And to manipulate the market through press releases and interviews claiming the value of retro games would continue to rise. Wata directors have been grading their own games and are officially raising their value, it's claimed, and very few of the games sold for extremely high prices are actually bought by game collectors. There was an update. WADA has issued a statement to VGC in which it claims that the allegations made in Tuesday's report are baseless and defamatory. A spokesperson said, open quote, WADA Games is the true trusted leader in collectible video game grading, and we're honored to play a key role in this booming industry that we are incredibly passionate about. We're humbled by the support of our thousands of customers who trust us to provide accurate and transparent grading. The claims in this video are completely baseless and defamatory, and it is unfortunate that Mr. Jobst did not contact us to give us the opportunity to correct him. Um, so the other involved part of this heritage auctions has also denied their involvement with it. This is probably going to lead to some level of court cases and etc. And we'll see what comes out of it. But Luis, the funny thing about this is that we have you especially have mentioned in the show, I think, but I have also in other ways and following like the YouTube sphere surrounding this, like we have noticed that there's some shit that seemed off
Yes.
recently, like
we
with video
call
game
we
collecting,
we
right?
commented about like we came up on two times during this podcast on different episodes, and how like it was like 800,000 and then it went to 2 million. Like it was like I think it was like 800,000 for like Mario Bros. One, like for the NES, and then like 2 million for N64, like Smash Mario 64. I want
Yeah.
to say I forgot what it was, like some kind of ordering, but like I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this game is common. Like I was thinking to
Hmm.
myself, like this something wasn't quite adding up, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I guess people want to pay for the mintiest mint, but
Yeah.
that was literally the only value that I could see in it. And then and it's really interesting that it was the guy that was a one of the founders of WADA, the grading company, was a chairman on the auction site, and also that same chairman also was a part owner of that $800,000 Mario game, because he said that they when they bought these games at auction, it wasn't an individual that bought a game; it was a group of people. Like I think in the first game, it was four people who all pitched in and bought it together, and they all own a fourth of that game. It's like they own
Hmm.
shares of a game, which is really, really weird to think about. Like somebody owning a game in shares or by committee, or deciding to sell by committee. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very weird practice, and games are not like a stock market, and they are sort of trying to game the system, no pun intended, when it comes to this kind of situation. Is when it's very like despicable, and it makes me like just want to like spit. I'm like, fuck them, but I just it's really, of course they're gonna say it's defamatory. Of course they're gonna say they're gonna deny everything. But the fact that there's like a paper trail, like there's like the fact that you can see who's on the committee, who founded the company, who's on this website. The fact who bought the game, you can see all of that. It's made visible, it's made clear, and the fact that every single time, uh, um, whenever like there's like a purchase, or somebody's trying to like value a game, you're the go-to guy. You're the guy that tells me, oh yeah, this game is valuable. You're the one, upping the price. You're the one trying to tell, sell yourself as the expert and trying to tell this person, hey, yeah, this is valuable. This is gold. This is treasure. Yeah.
I would love to go full conspiracy theory with some of this stuff because it you know you've probably seen those movies or plot lines where somebody is investigating, like, oh, like there's somebody that's doing wrong or whatever, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and then the character slowly finds out that oh, they're in on it too, and they're in on it too, and oh my god, like the whole organization is fucked, like, or that kind of plot line, right? I
Yeah.
wonder if there's something going on like that in the world of video game collecting and grading and selling and etc. Because it seems like, and it's funny, I only got into this shit like over the last year or 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
anecdotally there seems to be a lot of stories that I hear from like different YouTubers about how things are getting strange. Like the video game collecting world is getting strange. Like
Yeah.
things that you would not expect to be expensive in the past are expensive now. It feels like things are being artificial, like certain prices for certain games are being artificially inflated. I've seen multiple videos of people being like, like, oh, these games are really expensive now, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Like, I remember a video I was watching was talking about the Ratchet and Clank PS3 games actually, which were all like raising in price like crazy.
Hmm.
And this dude was arguing that it didn't really make sense because those games were super common. There's like millions of them out there, and how he believed that people should actually wait and not buy them because they're probably gonna pop and drop eventually. And the whole thing with the GameCube, also like the GameCube games blowing up recently, and then I feel like we're covering these stories like very often in the podcast where it's like, oh, this game got sold for this much. And I remember as a sub note in one of these stories, there was like a copy of Skyrim that sold for like hundreds of bucks
Oh
too, and it's
yeah, I
like
forgot about that.
this.
Yeah.
That's like literally the most common game in the world,
Yeah,
like or
Skyrim's on
one of the
every
most common games in the
platform.
world.
Yeah.
Like, why? Who would pay like whatever, like $200 for Skyrim, like for a regular ass copy of Skyrim on the 360? That seems so weird. So yeah, I don't. And I there's another video. So there's this guy I watch called Metal Jesus Rocks,
I watch him
who I
too.
watch his videos from time to time,
Hmm.
and I think he was talking about how like more recently, like he does these runs where he's looking for games to collect, and he went to one of those garage sales. He got there early, and he asked the person like, hey, like do you have any video games? And this lady was like, oh no, like somebody came in here and bought all of them, like the video games are worth a lot these days, right? And he was talking about how like that's normal, like he's seen that happen before, but it feels like it's happening more. Like it feels like, I don't know, it's like there's a bubble. There's way too many people and potentially too much money getting into this right now, and there might be some people with poor intentions behind the scenes manipulating things as well. I've heard about like their strategies to make like a price like blow up and stuff. I feel like I saw like I don't remember where I saw this, but it was someone who was selling a game on eBay. Let's say they had the game at like $60 or something, and they got a message from somebody else, and the message said something along the lines of like, hey, I'm selling this game too. This game is a rare game. You shouldn't sell it for $60. You should sell it for 300. We're all like, everybody who owns this game, we're all in an agreement. We all sell it for 300 so that, like we keep the price at that. So we need you to increase your price or whatever. And this dude like screenshotted it and shared it on social media and whatever, and went viral. And it's just, it feels like there's a lot of ill intent around this right now.
Yeah. 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 There's definitely a lot going on here, and I mean, like I said, I think the most valuable game I have is worth $300, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because it's Earthbound, and it's box. So
Yeah.
I don't think any game that I have is gonna be more than that, and yeah, that just it's tricky. Uh, Supply and demand, speculation, the markets. It's all a game at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
There's obviously winners and losers in this case. Anyone that's tricked into buying Skyrim for $200 on the Xbox 360, it's their loss and the seller's gain. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's, with me, like, I think of a more practicality thing. So I don't think I would be falling for something like that. At least I don't think so. Like, there are rare games like for the NES that I would like to own, that I know that are rare, that I know they had like a very limited print run. But otherwise, no, I'm not gonna buy I'm not gonna buy Mario 64 for $100,000 or even anywhere near that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. All right. Let's hit up our extra news here. Number one, Nintendo eShop leaks avatars Aang, Korra, and Ren and Stimpy for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Basically, the eShop leaked the cover art of the game before it should have been shown, and that included these characters: Aang, Korra, Ran, and Stimpy. Number two, delays in the production of PS5 and Series X consoles may extend until 2023, according to an update from Japanese manufacturer Toshiba. Number three, speaking to Bloomberg, Sean Layden explains why he left Sony. It was because he was becoming burned out with the industry as a whole. Number four, Nintendo confirms it won't be participating in the Tokyo Game Show 2021. Number five, Sony has added another developer to its PlayStation Studios lineup, Firesprite, a Liverpool based studio that has worked with Sony several times in the past. Number six, Marvel Avengers PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man character will release before the end of the year. Developer Crystal Dynamics has confirmed. Number seven, the Fortnite Interactive finale event for Season 7 is called Operation Skyfire and will take place just once on Sunday, September 12 at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Make a note on your calendar, Lewis. Number eight, John Gibson, the CEO of Tripwire Interactive, developer of Maneater and the Killing Floor games, has stepped down from his role following a tweet in support of a Texas anti abortion law that went into effect in September. Number nine, George Moll, a former gameplay engineer at Sony Santa Monica Studio, who's credited with the handling behind God of War's Leviathan X and Blades of Chaos, has sadly passed away last Thursday. Number 10, after multiple delays in numerous alpha and beta tests, Amazon Game Studios' MMO New World is finally nearing its September 28 release date, and an open beta is available this weekend from the 9th to the 12th. Number 11, a new Lego set with 2,064 pieces recreates Super Mario 64 in a miniature, and it costs $170. Number 12, Microsoft is testing an Xbox One controller update that adds a couple of features previously exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S controllers. And number 13, World War Z is releasing on the Nintendo Switch on November 3rd.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that Microsoft is gonna update the Xbox One controllers to have like the lower latency to help it have parity with the Series controllers. I think it's kind of interesting that they would do something so consumer friendly, because it sort of makes it so you can just stick with your Xbox One controller and not have to buy Series controllers,
Yeah.
and that sort of like it doesn't encourage the sales of your Series controllers if you can
Yeah.
stick with your old ones. So
It is a little weird because I wonder, like, aren't the I would assume the Xbox One controllers at this point would probably be in the process of being phased out, not
yeah,
being sold anymore, right? So maybe it is really just one of those things where it's for the people that have old Xbox One controllers laying around that want to use them for the Series X, right? Yeah, it's a cool, consumer friendly move, but the whole, like, the idea of like your controller getting an update and then working better is just so weird to me. Like the fact that we are even able to do that.
yeah. I wonder if that's going to be the thing going forward, where like the PlayStation 5 controller is going to get updates to match this PS6 controller
Yeah,
with
who
with
knows?
features.
I can't see Sony doing that, but
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. By the way, just want to say, like, this Lego set looks dope AF.
Yep, it is pretty cool.
It's a bit of a check this out. I got it on screen right now, and man, these are slideshows, man. Oh man, like this Mario looks. Is this the Mario, the Lego Mario, like the actual, like the one that's like has the
um
battery in it?
I don't know, but actually, it's funny because we covered some Lego Mario stories before, like two of them, I think, in this podcast run. But the truth is, there's a new Mario set being announced like every month or every few months. There's been a bunch of them. Like
Hmm.
this is, I have actually not covered all of them. There have been times where I saw one and I was like, okay, we
Mario
already
and
talked about
Luigi.
Lego Mario.
Yeah. There was a Luigi Mario and all this other stuff. But yeah, like
Hmm.
this looks cool. Like I saw a video, like these are slides, but there's a video where like it literally like flips and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, there's that. There's something I wanted to touch on here. It was one of the okay. So for number one, the Avatar leak and stuff like that. I think that was pretty cool. I think that's pretty obvious. Nothing. I'm not really surprised by that. But
Hmm.
I will say, leak aside, and like character announcements aside, they the Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. There was new trailers coming out for it. There was gameplay trailers, and oh my god, the gameplay trailer is the first time I actually got sold on this game. I was not planning on buying this game. I was thinking that this is going to be like a poor man's Smash, but no. This game actually looks hella interesting, and it has some melee elements to it, notably wave dashing. And I don't know if you know what wave dashing is, but it's a very form of advanced movement that is exclusive to melee, and why melee players stick with melee. Um, so it is really cool. It looks awesome. It looks fast. They they did their own thing. They put their own spin on the platform fighter.
Hmm.
And I'll give you two things. Number one, in Smash you only have one dash attack, and that's it. But in this game you have two dash attacks. You have a weak dash attack and a strong dash attack. Your shield, you can shield as long as you want, and there's no penalty. And when you shield and smash, you can your bubble just slowly shrinks
Hmm.
over time, no matter what. And this one, there's no penalty for shielding. In this game, you can grab you can your you can everyone has a cargo throw like Donkey Kong when he like lifts you up. Like every character has a cargo throw, which is interesting. Also, you can grab in the air. You can commit. You can literally just press the grab button in the air and you'll grab. And so you can literally grab, throw, jump, and then grab him again and throw him again. Like you can. That's so interesting. That's unique. It's very like they displayed like in this trailer they displayed like some tech and what you can do with that, and it looks interesting. I've
Hmm.
never even would have thought about that, you know. So
Hmm.
I am I am you sold me on that. Just if you guys haven't seen the trailer or the gameplay, like an actual like a caster, he's like he like tells you all the move sets like and everything. It just you know the competitor
Yeah.
in me is just like ooh
Yeah,
yes.
I've heard people are really excited for it. I didn't watch the trailers. I didn't watch the in-depth stuff because personally I don't care. But it comes across like the fighting game community, the Smash community are very excited for it.
Yes, yes. I was never. I'm now on the train, but just because I saw that. So,
Hmm.
just throwing that out there. Sucks about the PS5 and Xbox console delays. I'm not surprised to tell you the truth. Now the Sean Layden one. That's the one I really wanted to talk about. The fact that he left because he was feeling burnt out. It just sucks. Like that. I feel for him. Like really,
Yeah.
real. Like it
I,
just.
I didn't read the full interview, but there's some more like details to it. It's like he basically was like he was looking for a way out already because he was like just tired and he had done it enough and he just needed to be done with it. And then he also wanted to leave it in a good like he wanted to leave things in a good place, which is pretty common. Like I know like Reggie did that on Nintendo and stuff. So that's why he picked the time to leave that he ultimately did. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I do want to talk about something that we didn't talk earlier today when talking about the PlayStation Showcase, which is that we saw two people today during the showcase. We saw Jim Ryan in the beginning of it, like opening it up, and then we
Yeah.
saw Herman Holst a little bit towards the end. And what do you think about that new face of PlayStation? Like, what do you think about Jim Ryan on the event?
Well, Jim Ryan is. I don't think he's got the. Ever since like having heard about like all of the decisions he's been making and stuff like that, it just I just don't think he needs to step away. He needs to step aside. Like he's either either you're gonna be the face of PlayStation and you're gonna start like making these consumer friendly choices and stuff like that and start like getting people to like
Hmm.
you, like a Reggie. Like yeah, Sony needs a Reggie Fils-Aimé is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So the fact that we were having like all of these situations where you hear about Sean Layden leaving, Shuhei Yoshida getting demoted, all those kind of stuff. Like there's like a lot of infighting and it's really weird and it sucks. It's like you're the most successful you are, but you're your own worst enemy. And
Hmm.
it sucks that like I can understand that when it comes to Sean Layden, I can understand like having so much infighting would be like a reason for you to like what, I'm out, peace. And
Hmm.
I don't blame him for it. And it sucks that he was kind of sort of pushed into that. Is how I'm reading the
Hmm.
situation.
All right. Lewis, I think it's time for us to move the show along. So
Agreed.
why
Agreed.
don't you take over for our final few segments?
All right.
What are you buying?
So for new releases this week, I actually have some pretty decent stuff to talk about for once. It's
Yeah,
very rare.
it's like the season of game releases is finally starting this year. Actually,
So there's a new update coming to Assassin's Creed Valhalla this week, and it adds a nightmare difficulty level, among other things. Also, don't forget that Fortnite, the next season starts on Sunday, as we mentioned before. The actual season kicks off. Um, Next up, as far as actual releases go, the first thing up here. Actually, let me move something here. All right. First up is Inked, A Tale of Love, and it comes out on. Oh my God! All right, it comes out on
you can do
PS4,
this, Lewis.
Xbox
I
One, in
believe in you.
September 10th. What'd you say?
I just said you can do this, Lewis. I believe in you. I
You
was just
know,
fucking with you.
what's kind of messed up is like I have like this new screen setup going on, and it's not working for me. All right. Next up is Kraken Academy for PC. Comes out September 10th. And next up is Life is Strange True Colors. Comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, PC. Damn, it just. Okay, actually, it does have the Switch. Okay, never mind. That's damn near everything. Alex Chen hides her curse, the supernatural ability to absorb and manipulate the strong emotions of others. When her brother dies in a so called accident, she must embrace her volatile power to find the truth and reveal dark secrets buried by the town. Deep in the mountains of Colorado, you'll find Haven Springs, a small mining town filled with beauty and mystery. As Alex, you'll discover the shocking secrets behind your brother's death in an emotional roller coaster of an adventure, using your psychic powers of empathy to change fate and change lives. Isn't this is this a brand new game or is this a port? Because I swear I've seen this poster before.
This is a brand new game.
Okay, all right, interesting. Next up is Lost in Random. We saw this on the Xbox Showcase. I think I want to say it was the Xbox Showcase. Lost in Random comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 10th. Welcome to the world of Random, a dark kingdom where every citizen's future is determined by the roll of a dice. Will you be defeated by your fate or embrace chaos and learn to make it work in your favor? Embark on a journey with Evan and her companion Dicey to play the odds and break the curse of random. This is the game where your companion is an actual literal dice or
Yes.
die. So yeah, I remember this one. I remember this trailer from the showcase. Now, surprisingly, Dan decided not to put a blurb for NBA 2K22, but here it is. It comes out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on September 10th. Just throwing it out there. Next up is Port Royale 4 on PS5 and Xbox Series. Comes out September 10th. And Tales of Arise, PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC. You know what day it comes out. And finally, or not finally, as far as the September 10th goes, WarioWare Get It Together. The blurb reads, take on over 200 quick and quirky microgames, lightning fast minigames filled with frantic fun, solo or with a friend. When his latest harebrained business scheme goes awry, Wario must use his signature style and smell to fix it. How? By playing a twisted collection of microgames, of course. From assembling a robot to pulling out a statue's armpit hair, the WarioWare Get It Together game is a comedic cooperative microgame mashup. Comes out on the Switch on September 10th. And yes, on to next week. Deathloop comes out on PS5 and PC on September 14th. Take on the role of Colt as you search for a way to put an end to a time loop, trapping Black Reef while being hunted by the island's inhabitants. Use powerful weapons and abilities to take out 8 key targets across the stunning and chaotic island before the day resets. Lurking in the shadows is a rival assassin, Juliana, whose sole mission is to take Colt out and keep the loop going. Learn from each cycle, try new paths, and approach to break the loop once and for all. Before we move on here, Dan, it just seems to me like there is no such thing as a game over. You just die and then the loop resets. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, next up is Eastward. Comes out on the Switch and PC on September 16th. And finally, Skatebird, Xbox One, Switch, PC, Linux, also on September 16th. Dan, pick of the week has obviously got to be Deathloop, right?
I don't know. um, the truth is that I personally have no interest in playing Deathloop. So I am actually the most likely out of all these games. The only reason why I put a blurb for Lost in Random is because that's probably the one that I am personally the most likely to play. Um, but there's a lot of good games for different tastes. I actually never played a WarioWare game,
Hmm.
and I
Not even on
wanted
the
to show
3DS?
this. No, not any of them, I think. And I actually just bought this like a week ago, just for the collection. I found somebody that was selling a bunch of Wii games, and then I picked a few that I didn't have yet.
For you audio
Um,
listeners, that's WarioWare Smooth Moves.
oh yeah, on the Wii.
Mhm.
So I definitely want to get more familiar with the series. So I might if this reviews well, I might end up picking it up. And honestly, Deathloop as well. If that ends up reviewing well too, I might give it a chance too. It just doesn't come across like my kind of game. Whenever I watch the trailers for Deathloop, and we've seen it over and over and over and over again by this point, I just I just find myself really confused by it. I feel like it's so fast paced. Like the trailers are always like so fast paced. I'm always like, what is even going on in this game? This feels like it almost feels like Doom, but with more complexity. So like I don't even know how to like understand it.
I'm gonna tell you this
Uh,
right now. Like, we just played a game that had a time loop in it with like the apartment.
mhm,
Was it 12 minutes and stuff? And I'm not gonna lie, being in a loop frustrated me at times. So
mhm,
there's that going on. Without revealing anything, and I don't know how far I'm going to be able to say publicly, but I'm going to tell you this: I can confidently tell you guys that Level One Gaming will be putting out a review of Deathloop.
mhm.
Sentence is over. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what they review it and see what like if we decide whether we want to play it or not based on that.
All right.
And
So
other things, of course.
yes, of course, of course. All right. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the Broke Gamers Guide.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
Slim pickings for this week here. Normally there's like
Yeah,
links galore, but
I
hey,
didn't find much. Just a few notes.
are you, like we have but you know what? The Epic Game Store always has this covered, and there's two games. You know,
And
big
one of them is pretty good.
yeah, big PlayStation game Neo, the complete edition, is the free game of the week for I would say the headliner here. I'm gonna read this blurb here. It says, "Ready to die?" Oh, that's a way to start. Experience a brutal action game from Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo Games. In the age of samurai, a lone traveler must fight his way through the vicious warriors and supernatural yokai that infest the land in order to find that which he seeks. Hey, like yokai, that's like a thing, like yokai watch. It's very
Yep.
Japanese. I have the trailer playing here. It looks cool. It's got some cool visuals. Apparently, this PC port supports 4K visuals, so that's cool. Yeah, I would say that this is probably like going to be like playing a game like this on PC would probably be the definitive way to play the game. I would say.
Yeah, I would say this is one of the this is one of the biggest releases, one of the biggest free games on the Epic Store in a while. Yeah.
Yes. All right. And next up is Sheltered, which is free for the week. Wait a minute. This screenshot looks familiar. Have we?
I
You
don't know. I think the game looks cool, looks interesting, but yeah, I don't remember if we've seen it before or not.
I swear, like the very first thing I'm greeted with was this screenshot. Like I've seen this. I felt like maybe let's see. Sheltered is a deep and emotional survival management game. You take on the role of protecting four family members who, after a global apocalypse, have found their way to a deserted shelter. Maybe it wasn't free before, but something about this is familiar. But hey, it's free. Go get it. And next week's free games allegedly are Speed Brawl and Tharsis. Not hype inducing, but hey, it is what it is. Next up is, let's see here. You can claim a free copy of Far Cry 3 before 11:30 p.m. on Friday, September 10th through Ubisoft Connect. I will do that. By the way, do you remember like a couple weeks ago we did like a $10 deal of the day?
Hmm.
One of those $10 deals of the day, like I think it was like earlier this week or last week. I forgot what day it was particular, but it was Cyberpunk
Hmm.
2077.
Yeah, I know.
Did you think about it? Because I thought about it.
I already own the game, but I thought about
Oh,
getting it again.
oh
Actually,
no!
I'm
What the
not
hell?
joking. Like, not even a joke. Like, I because I own it
On
on.
Xbox, right?
Yeah, so I thought about getting because like just for $10, I was like I could get the PS4 version.
Yeah,
Um, but I ended up not doing it because I was like I barely even played it on Xbox. So
yeah.
um,
I thought
yeah,
about
so
it. I was like, but it's not quite done yet. The game isn't finished, so
yeah.
I would rather my first time playing the game be like the most optimal experience.
Hmm.
Which I guess I should just play it on PC because people actually said that it's actually runs pretty good on PC. But whatever. Anyways, Madden NFL 22 will be free to play across the PlayStation 5 and PS4 this weekend from September 9th through the 12th. Okay. And you can use the code SAVE17 to get a gaming PC for under
Yeah.
$1,400.
So I found this on IGN deals page. Is a weird. It's not the kind of thing that we typically cover, but it's a 2 grand. Like it's a gaming PC from Dell that is worth 2 grand. It is discounted to 16.49 right now. But if you use the Save 17 discount
Kodak
code
showed
on
it.
it, it discounts it down to like 13.50 or something like that.
Hmm.
So I was considering getting it for myself actually because I've been looking into some PC stuff. So I figured I'll just throw it in here as well if anybody else wanted to look at it. And I actually the Save 17 coupon code is works for other things in the Dell store. So if you find another computer that you like, you can use that too. So
Just want to say, like, I thought most self-respecting gaming PC players or PC players that game on, they like to build their own PCs instead of buy
yes,
pre-bought.
they do. However, there is a problem going on in the PC building space right now because of like shortage of parts and
Yeah.
just how difficult it is to get certain things. So a lot of people have actually been recommending that some of the pre-built stuff is actually better right now
Oh,
potentially because like for instance, this computer has an RTX 3060 Ti which maybe you wouldn't be able to find yourself right now if
right.
you're trying
And the
to get it.
3060s
So
alone would be more than the actual cost of the computer that people are scalping them
yeah.
for. So, yeah, you're right. I know, like, I had a last Christmas, my cousin was struggling to find a PC because of the shortages that was going on for his,
Hmm.
he was gonna, get a Christmas present for his son, and he had to get it to him a month late because of the parts shortage. But
Yep.
yes, you're right. You're correct. Dan, normally would be the this would be the time to end the show, and we're sort of good on time ish. Should we like make up a sharing the love or something, or no? On the spot?
I didn't prepare anything. Do you want to share about something?
I don't have anything I can think of right now, so yeah, I feel like
Okay.
I should. I want to wing it,
Yeah.
but like let's not. You know what?
No, no, no. Let's do things right. Let's leave it for another time. It was a shorter one today, but that's good. And we talked a lot about the PlayStation showcase, which was really a topic of the show today.
Hmm.
So let's bring us home, Lewis. It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at readyplaynetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at the Dan Lima and Lewis.
Chocolate 88.
That's right. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
Peace.